watching it. The other organizer, a gentleman, goes to hand the microphone to Harry again, and yet again Meghan goes to take it, he holds it back and even laughs and says no, and then continues.
It's a charity thing. There were lots of A-listers there like Jeff Bridges and Rob Lowe and Pink, and you'll remember last year Meghan very much was there centre.
So the fact that Meghan was there last year and she was humiliated not once but twice, and it was all over the organisers not wanting her to have the microphone.
Kevin Costner organized a fundraiser for a good cause. Meghan Markle, however, made waves for all the wrong reasons. And guess which story the media latched onto? Not the charity. First off, Meghan really didn't have to stir up any attention. She could have kept a low profile, let Harry handle the formalities, and simply blended into the evening. Instead, the mood shifted the second she appeared. You know that uncomfortable moment when someone turns up to an event without an invitation, acting as if the gathering was planned in their honor? That's exactly how Meghan carried herself at Kevin Costner's well-known 8:05 Live fundraiser. Now, people may suggest she had her reasons for attending, but the idea of her truly being unwell ranks low on that list. This charity night isn't about the glamour of Hollywood premieres. It's a relaxed Santa Barbara community event to support first responders. More cowboy hats and country tunes than flashing cameras. It's meant to spotlight firefighters and EMTs, everyday heroes. But once Meghan and Harry arrived, followed by flashing bulbs and her own photographer, the spotlight shifted. This wasn't Meghan's first encounter with this particular gala either. Whispers have long circulated that while she isn't technically barred, she's far from welcome. A couple of years ago, when she did attend, reports claim she created more friction than goodwill. Allegedly, she tried to seize the microphone, desperate for her own stage moment, and in doing so disrupted the relaxed tone of the evening. What should have celebrated local heroes instead became a scramble to keep her off the platform. The following year, when invitations were sent out, Meghan's name wasn't among the recipients. It was said quite plainly she wasn't wanted there. Yet rather than letting the matter rest, her absence itself became gossip fodder. Media spun stories about Sen, UBS, tension, and speculation that Kevin Costner didn't want royal drama overshadowing his event again. So this year, when she strolled in once more, cameras clicking, Harry at her side, and a personal photographer in tow, it was more than awkward. It was bold. Everyone knew the history, everyone knew she wasn't on the list, and yet she presented herself as if the evening revolved around her. Costner's fundraiser is supposed to be about honoring first responders, the men and women who risk their lives daily. Instead, once again, the attention veered toward Meghan's presence. By now, it doesn't feel like bad timing or simple misunderstanding. It looks like a consistent pattern. If there's a camera, Meghan steps into its view, invited or not. And then came the turning point. What began as uncomfortable soon edged into something more explosive. According to accounts from people inside the venue, Meghan wasn't content to just absorb attention. The evening allegedly escalated into a moment no one in attendance will soon forget. A young staffer, whose role was simply to ensure the event ran smoothly, quietly approached Meghan before the program began. Her task was straightforward: remind Meghan she wasn't on the speaking schedule. No microphone, no impromptu speech, no stage appearance. A polite, professional reminder, nothing more. At first, Meghan smiled and seemed agreeable. She nodded as though she understood. But then, in a sudden shift, she reportedly lashed out. Witnesses claim Meghan swung her free hand and delivered a sharp slap to the young woman. Not an accidental bump, not a playful nudge, but a calculated strike. The room went silent. Conversations halted. Shock rippled across the crowd. Some attendees stared in disbelief, while others quickly looked away, unsure how to process what they'd just seen. Imagine attending a fundraiser to honor firefighter S, only for the headline moment to become Meghan Markle allegedly striking a worker. That single act, according to those present, changed the atmosphere entirely. The slap wasn't simply about being denied a microphone. For many, it symbolized entitlement, anger, and the need to control the narrative. More troubling still, Meghan didn't seem rattled afterward. Eyewitnesses described her as clinging to Harry's arm as if nothing had occurred. Meanwhile, the staffer was shaken and the audience stunned. Naturally, all eyes turned to Harry. This was his chance to step in, to defend the young woman, or at least calm the situation. Instead, what unfolded only deepened the discomfort. Harry's reaction, or rather his lack of one, spoke volumes. He didn't step forward, didn't say a word, didn't even offer an apology on Meghan's behalf. Instead, he hovered awkwardly beside her, one hand hesitantly placed on her back. The gesture didn't project confidence or reassurance. It signaled embarrassment. He looked more like a man caught in a moment he desperately wished to escape than a husband defending his spouse. Witnesses described his face as tense, almost pained. He avoided eye contact, kept his lips tight, and let the silence hang uncomfortably. Meghan, meanwhile, immediately grabbed for his hand, holding on tightly like someone eager to erase what had just happened. The grip was described as desperate, almost childlike, as though she were pulling him into complicity. Body language experts would have had a field day. Meghan looked defiant yet anxious, scanning the crowd for judgmental glances. Harry, by contrast, looked exhausted, disengaged, a man going through familiar motions. It didn't resemble a power couple standing united. It resembled a man reduced to background scenery, caught in the chaos orbiting his wife. By choosing not to intervene, Harry inadvertently fueled the perception that he enables Meghan's behavior. To onlookers, he didn't just seem embarrassed, he appeared trapped, and this pattern has repeated often enough that it no longer surprises those who follow their public appearances. While whispers about the alleged slap spread quietly through the room, Meghan's team moved swiftly behind the scenes. Within hours, glossy outlets like People magazine ran with glowing coverage of the evening. The headlines painted Meghan as the supportive spouse, gracefully stepping aside so Harry could shine. On paper, it sounded like a touching narrative. In reality, those who witnessed the evening described a very different picture. According to eyewitnesses, Meghan wasn't fading into the background at all. Instead, she clung to Harry's side, visibly tense, ensuring no moment went undocumented by her photographer. Far from stepping aside, she seemed unwilling to let him move freely. The official press coverage praised her poise, but those inside described control and calculation. And notably, none of the articles mentioned the alleged slap. That incident vanished entirely, replaced by carefully crafted fluff. This wasn't coincidence. It was crisis management in real time. Meghan's PR machine knows how to pivot a narrative, but social media has a long memory, and chatter about what allegedly happened spread faster than polished magazine spin could contain. The saddest part? The actual purpose of the night, honoring firefighters and first responders, was completely overshadowed. The individuals who deserved recognition became footnotes in a story dominated by drama. Even Kevin Costner, the host, was eclipsed. Normally, his efforts to pull together musicians, stars, and donors would be applauded. Instead, headlines fixated on Meghan's conduct, pushing the charity itself into the background. For the honorees, it was disheartening. Imagine training for years to save lives, being recognized by your community, only to have your moment drowned out by royal drama. Attendees expecting a celebration of service instead found themselves caught in a tabloid spectacle. And the alleged slap wasn't seen as a one-off mistake. Many interpreted it as part of a broader pattern. From palace aides once describing Meghan as difficult to repeated reports of her temper, insiders have long suggested she struggles with authority when the cameras aren't rolling. What occurred that night only added weight to those claims. Critics argue that such behavior isn't accidental. It's a way of exerting control. Striking someone, even allegedly, at a fundraiser was less about a microphone and more about dominance. That same forceful energy, they say, has fueled her clashes with the British press, rifts within her own family, and tensions inside palace walls. And every time conflict emerges, Meghan seems to be at its center. From stepping on royal traditions to disrupting events in Hollywood, she consistently courts attention, often at the expense of others. For Harry, the strain is visible. At moments like this, his silence doesn't appear protective. It appears resigned. Industry insiders were watching too. In Hollywood, reputation is currency, and one messy night can shift perceptions. Meghan may have once been welcomed by major players like Oprah or Tyler Perry, but whispers of her being difficult have grown louder. Power brokers don't want unpredictable drama overshadowing their projects or events. And while her team worked to frame the night as graceful, those present walked away with a different impression, Meghan dominating the spotlight and Harry shrinking in her shadow. The alleged incident also highlighted cracks in their partnership. Observers noted how Meghan clung to Harry throughout, while he looked increasingly weary, almost absent. His expressions told the story of a man worn down by repeated public storms. For many, he seemed more like a bystander to his wife's choices than an active participant. This contrast fuels wider speculation. Some argue Meghan's performative affection, constant hand-holding, constant public displays, suggests more strain than strength. Couples confident in their bond, critics say, don't need to prove it at every turn. Instead, the repeated theatrics draw attention to instability rather than unity. And for Harry, every scandal pushes him further from reconciliation with the royal family. Each public flare-up distances him from his roots and deepens his entanglement in Meghan's narrative. Witnesses at the gala described him with hands shoved in pockets, a stiff smile plastered on his face, and eyes glazed, a man who seemed to long for escape. Meanwhile, the fallout for the charity was real. Instead of celebrating first responders, coverage revolved around Meghan's behavior. Donors grumbled about their contributions being overshadowed, and some even hinted they might not return if future events turn into sideshows. That's not just an image problem. It risks real funding. For Meghan, the consequences extend beyond one night. Hollywood thrives on alliances and perceptions. Every negative headline chips away at her standing, and scandals aren't forgotten easily. Once the buzz fades, the quiet exclusion begins. Fewer invitations, cooler receptions, doors quietly closing. In an industry where access is everything, that's a serious risk. And then there's the question of Harry. Observers pitied him, describing him as a man caught between two worlds, the royal upbringing that prized restraint and duty, and the marriage that repeatedly places him in the midst of spectacle. Watching his wife allegedly slap a staff member at a charity gala was, for many, the embodiment of his worst nightmare. Public scandal he couldn't prevent and couldn't control. The bigger picture is sobering. Instead of first responders basking in their well-deserved recognition, their night became tabloid fodder. Instead of Kevin Costner being praised for his efforts, he was reduced to a supporting role in someone else's drama. And instead of Harry offering strength, he looked diminished, overshadowed, and stuck. For Meghan, the evening underscored what critics have long claimed, that chaos follows wherever she goes. From London to Los Angeles, whether at royal ceremonies or charity fundraisers, she has a way of turning the spotlight onto herself, for better or worse. If the allegations about the slap are accurate, it's not just poor optics. It's the kind of behavior that burns bridges in ways even the best PR team can't repair. And if Hollywood, with its short patience for scandal, begins to view her as a liability rather than an asset, Meghan may soon find herself edged out of the very circles she fought to enter. For Harry, the question is how much more he can endure. Each controversy drives a wedge between him and the royals, between him and the life he once knew. The deeper he goes into this cycle, the harder it will be to pull back. In the end, the biggest losers weren't Meghan or Harry, but the firefighters and first responders whose night was stolen. They deserved the headlines. They deserved the spotlight. Instead, their moment was eclipsed by a duchess, a camera, and an alleged slap that no one in that room will soon forget.